Knicks family salute. Got my guy Sim in the building. I guess we call this quick hits with Sim. You know the series I have with Sim.
No
What's
doubt.
good, man?
Chilling, man. Just actually being able to take a little bit of time to just redo some stuff. You know what I mean? Hopefully within the next week, week and a half, I'll be able to have a little a new background, similar to what I already got, but a new background where you see some other stuff. You know what I mean? So I'm working on it. I'm working on it. But without the Knicks playing, just it's freed up a little bit of time for me to do some things that, you know what I mean, that I gotta get done.
I hear you. I hear you. It's just, I mean, it's the off season, man. You gotta get some things done in the off season. You can't get done during the season.
Right.
I get it. Shout out to the chat, Kevin Berger. He says every time I see Bargnani in the Nick uniform, I get upset. I mean, that's the purpose of the intro, man. It's just a little reminder of some of the things we've been through. Yeah, I know how it is. So we just finished watching the Lakers get eliminated.
Mm.
Swept. LeBron said, he was trying to make history and come back from 0-4 or down 0-3. He made history because it's the first time he got swept. So, no losing slams for them. They ain't play us. But what are your thoughts on this Lakers sweep? We'll talk about that real quick.
Yeah, I mean, Denver is tough. That's Denver is really really tough. I mean, the Lakers. I mean, if you think about it, with the season that the Lakers had, and then to add like an entirely new lineup, you know what I mean? At the trade deadline, they did pretty good. You know what I mean? They made the Western Conference Finals. You know what I mean? I mean, they literally. I mean, D'Angelo Russell, Vanderbilt. Who else? Uh, uh,
Beasley.
Beasley, Rui Hachimura. Like they added a bunch of guys, rotational guys, at the trade deadline, and made it to the Western Conference Finals. So that's not bad. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Not to try to put myself into the philosophy or mentality of Laker fans, but they did good from us looking from the outside. But that Laker fandom, they about winning championships and winning it all. And that being said, as good as they have been since the trade deadline, I don't think they're gonna run it back. You know what I mean? I think they're gonna try to make a big splash, try to
they're
flip
trying to get
some of them
Kyrie.
guys they just got and all that. So
they're trying to get Kyrie. And
Kyrie.
we were just talking about it. I would love for Rui Hachimura to end up a New York Knick. I like Rui. You know what I mean? I think he can post up. I think he can shoot the three. He's a decent defender. I think he's smart. He's just young. He's young. So he's going to make some mistakes out there, But if somehow he could end up a Knick because they're trying to get Kyrie and they don't have enough money to pay Rui, I love it. I would love for Rui to be a Knick.
What do you think his market is? I'll tell you this. His market skyrocketed based off of post trade deadline or post trade and playoffs and like it skyrocketed. Like the fact that Washington gave up on him, I don't think his value was high across the league prior to the trade deadline. I think the Lakers didn't give up much for him either. But now coming into the free agency, what do you think his number might be? I think the only number we have is that mid-level exception, which is about 12.5. I don't know what he's making. Do you think it would have to be a sign and trade? What are your thoughts? I know you didn't really look into it, think about it was just something you blurted out like, yo, I would love But
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
I don't
What
know.
do you
I don't know
think?
how
Do you
much he
think it's
made.
something possible?
I don't know. I don't think the Wizards gave up on him. I think he didn't want to be a Wizard anymore.
Mm.
Yeah, just from uh, you know, living here and just hearing the conversations and whatnot, I think he didn't want to be a Wizard,
Mm.
and they felt like they was gonna lose him in the off season. So there was that we might as well move him because he didn't, we're gonna lose him anyway. So I think that was the reason why. And I was mad. I said it multiple times. I was mad that the Knicks did not pick up Rui Hachimura at the trade deadline. I felt like they could have got him and Josh Hart. You know what I'm saying? And
Do you think he wasn't on the radar?
maybe,
Because
maybe he wasn't on the
I
radar.
don't know if I mean you live out there, so maybe you heard the rumblings that they were looking to you know what I mean, move him instead of lose him.
You
You
know,
know what I mean?
I
But
mean,
I didn't. To me, it came out of nowhere.
yeah, I think it did because I think there were fans and there were people here who talked about it like, yo, Rui don't want to be here. You know what I'm saying? They're gonna move him. What are they gonna do with Rui? Blah 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 blah. And maybe the rest of the league didn't know. I don't know. Because the Wizards got back Kendrick Nunn and second round picks or something like that.
I mean, yeah, we definitely could have offered a better package.
Yeah.
To get him. I wouldn't be opposed to getting him. I will say, like I said, that his value has skyrocketed. I think since joining the Lakers, I think it opened some eyes throughout the league. Um, so I don't know if he'll be an easy task to acquire, but I definitely wouldn't mind taking a look at him. Young, fits the timeline, uber
Yeah.
talented.
And so look at this. The Lakers received Rui Hachimura, and the Wizards received Kendrick Nunn and 3 second round picks, 2023, 2028, and 2029.
Yeah,
Come
I
on,
mean,
man.
this is what we'll
Come
do.
on, man.
We'll put him on our list of guys that we'll discuss throughout this off season, because I know we're gonna have numerous discussions about what's a viable candidate, who's out there, and how can we upgrade this roster. Obviously, I think we would be moving on from Toppin if we're
Yeah.
acquiring
Yeah.
a Rudy.
Yeah.
But yeah, I like the thought. I like the thought of it. Let's move into the Eastern Conference, Eastern Conference playoffs,
All
and
right.
Miami Heat's continuing dominance in the Eastern Conference. Excuse me one second. All right, pardon me. Um, I mean, it was a sour taste in our mouth after we lost to the Heat.
Yep.
No, can't give any bail or anything to Randle about his performance. But what I will say is how much of it had to do with the Miami Heat, and not just him having a bad performance. When we look at what was done in comparison against Milwaukee, now I'll be honest, I didn't really watch that series, so I don't know how much they limited or were able to stop Giannis per se. But I do know that the question marks were there with Middleton and his performance and what they were able to do limiting him, and the same with Drew Holiday. And then you come into the Knicks series, obviously shut down Randall, wasn't really able to do anything with Brunson. Shout out to Brunson. And then you move on to this next series, and you look at what they're doing with Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown. And you talk
Yeah.
about Tatum, who's on the top of the up and coming superstar list. You know what I mean? Just dropped 51 in a closeout game, 7. Got that record. Just was in the finals last year. I mean, people talked about the fluke in Milwaukee and us getting punked, and now you're talking about the Celtics as well. So, what watching what the Heat are doing, does that change any of the perspective of how we went out? I mean, as of right now, we're looking like the biggest fight that they've faced, you know what I mean,
so
so
far.
far in the playoffs.
Yeah, for me, it does. It definitely changes. I mean, from the beginning, I wasn't like, I mean, I was disappointed that we lost, but I wasn't feeling bad about the Knicks' future. You know what I'm saying? I still felt good about the Knicks' future, despite the fact that we lost to the Miami Heat. But looking at what Miami is doing, it helps me understand better where the Knicks are, I guess. You know what I'm saying? I'm still disappointed that we lost to Miami because when you look at it, you're like, man, we were right there. If we could have performed just a little bit better, you know what I'm saying? If Randall could have, stepped up and played a little bit better, or if other guys could have hit some open shots a little bit more, we shot a better percentage from the 3-point line. You know what I'm saying? We could be playing against Boston, and maybe we had a chance to take out Boston too. You know what I mean? Um, so it makes me. I don't want to say it makes me feel better, but it helps me to think that the Knicks are as competitive as anyone in the East. You know what I'm saying? And if they can uh, add some more firepower to this lineup, they can maybe contend for that Eastern Conference.
Yeah, we're right there,
You know what I'm
you know,
saying? Maybe they
knocking
can
on the
contend for
door.
that Eastern Conference. Because when you look at these teams, take a look at the Denver Nuggets. How long has that group been together? 4, 5, 6 years? They got some people that's been together for a while. You know what I'm saying? Um, the Miami Heat, they got a few guys there that's been together for a while. Tyler Hero, Duncan Robinson, Gabe Vincent's been there a little while. Jimmy Butler's been there for a little while. You know what I'm saying? And, these guys have taken their lumps. All of these teams have taken their lumps in the playoffs.
The Celtics have been
The
together
Celtics
for
have been
quite a
together
while.
for quite a while. Marcus Smart, Jaylen Brown, Jason Tatum. You know what I'm
Horford in
saying?
and out, back and forth, you
Horford
know.
in and out of on the team. Like these guys have been there for a little while, and no wonder, that they're in the conference finals in their respective conferences. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, you know, for all the people that's been like, oh my God, we gotta do something crazy. I don't think we have to. I think we got to keep learning as a team and growing and see what our core can do.
Yeah, I
You know,
agree. Um, Kavan, he says the Celtics' problem was less to do with Miami. Their coach isn't that good. Spo's head and shoulders better. I mean, to me though, that's part of the team. The
yeah,
coach is part of the team.
it's part of the
You know
team.
the argument was, and to your credit, the two comments earlier, you gave Spo his flowers as far as how good of a coach he is, but that's part of it. People said he outcoached Tibbs. People said he outcoached Coach Bud. So to me, that's a huge advantage, and it's part of the team. It doesn't take away from the talent on the roster because the talent is the talent, but the
Right.
coach, you know what I mean? Sometimes that's the difference in a series.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that was the argument in Milwaukee's series. I mean, we've heard it throughout our chat as well. And
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 but
and,
but I
and
but I want
now
to say something about that though.
mhm.
I want to say something about that. And I'm not saying that Spo didn't out coach Tibbs because I think that he did. But in retrospect, when you look at what's Miami scoring, 119, 120 points against Boston,
Yep.
they averaged
Same they was
124
doing it.
points against
Yep.
Milwaukee,
hmm
and the most they scored against the Knicks was 108,
hmm
right? So when we talk about that coaching, and maybe Tibbs didn't do as bad of a job as it felt like while we were watching the games because Miami had a tough time. If you listen to Spo at the end when they eliminated the Knicks, and he was talking about that game, that final game, the Knicks lost 96-92, and he was just like, this was just a grind. He's like, this was a grind. You don't understand how excruciating this was.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying?
What do you say after the loss in game 5? If you don't appreciate this brand of basketball,
exactly.
You know what I mean? Like you know what I mean? Like the credit was there throughout, whether it was a win or a loss. You know, shout out to Spo. I said this is not going to be a Miami Heat, show, but shout out to Spo because he recognizes it.
Yeah, he recognized it, and not just that. You know, people made a joke when Jimmy Butler. They thought Jimmy Butler was laughing at the Knicks, right? But he wasn't laughing at the Knicks when he said, they asked him about the double teams, and he was like, sometimes 3 people coming at me. It was more of that's the type of defense they were playing against us. And you can see now, and I was heavily criticizing Tom Thibodeau for double teaming Jimmy Butler on every possession, right? But these teams aren't really double teaming Jimmy Butler like that. And look at how they're scoring against these other teams. You know what I'm saying? So I think we've got to, in retrospect, go back and look and say, yeah, maybe Tibbs did the best that he could do with our roster right now. You know what I'm saying? And I see, some people say about the offense. Old Head said our offense and strategy is limited, which is why Tibbs gets grief for no adjustment. You know, I agree with you, but when you look at Miami, they didn't shoot the ball well either in our series. Look at what they're doing against Boston right now.
And to me, when you look at the playoffs, when you look at Miami in the totality, to your point, 120 plus points in the first series, 120 plus points in the third series.
Yeah.
Tibbs, from a coaching perspective, did his job.
Yeah.
Again, to your point and what we've been saying throughout, since it ended, had one other person showed up, this becomes a different result, game 6, or this becomes a different series overall. And so to me, it goes less to Tibbs and what he did wrong than this one, it really falls on the players. You know what I mean? And this is no knock, because I think they tried. They didn't lay down. They didn't quit. You know what I mean? As bad as Randle played, you can't say he quit. You know what I mean?
And when you look at, in game 6, like Kevin said, we were one possession away from possibly going to a game 7. You know what I'm saying? One possession away. When you look at Miami, when we talk about comparing Tibbs and Spoelstra and offensive adjustments and things, and that series to me really came down to, for the most part, it came down to grit and grind, right? Because when you look at Miami against Boston, shooting 51.9% from the field, shooting 47.8% from the 3-point line. Right now, if you go back, I'm going to go back and look at their series numbers against the Knicks, and I can guarantee you they shot nothing like that against the Knicks. Right? I mean, they shot terribly against the Knicks. All right, so let me pull this up really quick. Okay, against the Knicks, the Miami Heat shot 42.5% from the field and 30.6% from the 3-point line. Compare that to what's happening in Boston right now. Compare that to what they did against Milwaukee. You know what I'm saying? The Knicks did a really, really good job, in my opinion, defending, shutting down their offense. They had more than us. They had a little bit more than us. And they did a great job shutting down ours. No doubt about it. And if we had, a few more adjustments, if we had, I don't even want to say adjustments. If guys knock down their shots, Randle shows up and other guys knock down their shots, it's a different series. Or if other guys knock down their shots and Randle doesn't show up, the Knicks still would have had a chance to advance. If Randle shows up and those other guys don't knock down their shots, the Knicks would have had a better chance to advance. You know what I'm saying? Because it went hand in hand. Those guys were missing shots, and Randle didn't show up. You know what I'm saying? And
Recipe for
still,
disaster.
every single game was close except for one.
Mm-hmm.
Except for one. And I seen something somewhere where someone asked the question, if Randle wasn't hurt for the first game, would the Knicks have at least gone to a game 7? And the reason why they asked that, not because Randle was having a great series, but because the Knicks won every home game or both home games except for the one that Randle didn't play. Right? Who
And
knows?
we did the gradings, and part of what I don't think I mentioned it, but part of what I wanted to say with Randle, as bad as he performed in the playoffs statistically, he has an impact when he's on the floor that changes the dynamic of our team,
right?
Whether he's performing or not, you know what I mean. So he has to be a focal point. You know what I mean? It's not like Randle's playing bad and the team is saying, okay, he's playing bad, he's not a threat. He's always a threat, whether he's playing well or not.
Right.
Which, you know what I mean, you can't take that away from him. So I mean, that I say that to say, had he been the threat in game 1, who knows how
that
the
turns
outcome
out
of the game changes.
Right. And Ralph Unreal, no one's making any excuses. It's just a question that was thrown out there. Yeah, Butler didn't play in game 2. But the question was, but he did play in game 5. And the Knicks won game 5 at home. So the question was, with Randle there, would the Knicks have protected home court better? Not because of Randle having a great series, but because of what Tony's talking about. You understand what I'm saying? And the Knicks did have a 12-point lead in that game, and they weren't able to hold on to it, in the first game. So, it's no excuses. It's just, questions and showing how close the Knicks might have been to at least forcing a game 7.
I preferenced it with saying he could still have the bad game. It's really just about his presence.
Really, right. And Old has, was saying teams have to respect Randle. That's why they double him. Exactly. You know what I'm saying? That's why they send those double teams, you know what I mean, which opens up, shooters on the perimeter. But I think, looking at what Miami's doing, I don't know how they're gonna do against Denver. You know what I'm saying? Much tougher matchup, obviously. But if they go and they shut Denver down and they hold them, there's no way in my mind that they can hold Denver to just one win. There's no way in my mind. No way in my mind. But let's put it like this, though. Let's put it like this. If Miami sweeps Boston, the Knicks would have beat Miami more times than Milwaukee and Boston combined in these playoffs.
The whole Eastern Conference.
You know what I'm saying?
The only threat. I mean, and to me, that's something, it's not a participation trophy, but as a fan, it's something that I'm proud of. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like I was saying prior to game 5, it's not about us losing or winning. It's about how we go out. Yep. You know what I mean? Like whether we win or lose, it's about how we perform. And our Knicks put up a fight. We took care of the home court in game 5, and we had a fighter's chance in game 6. Yeah. So yeah, I mean, it definitely changes my perspective. I was a little optimistic even after the loss. Like Queen said, I was already in off-season assessment mode, or I forgot how she worded it, but this made me a lot more comfortable and it made me look at it from a different perspective. Like, we're not that far off. You know what I mean?
And the Knicks players should be going into the offseason looking at the playoffs saying, man, if we did some of these little things, like there was a point in the series where we wasn't doing the little things. You know what I'm saying? There was a point in the season where we didn't come point in the series where we didn't come with the right energy. And they got to be thinking to themselves, if we do these little things, we can we can beat this team. You know what I'm saying? If we shoot and we knock down shots, we can beat this team. If Randall shows up, we can beat this team. So they got to be looking at that. Like it was such a wonderful experience for the Knicks to be here talking about this team, and experience for them to be there because they can look at themselves on a playoff level now, not just a regular season level. You know what I mean?
I feel you, Karan. I feel you, bro. But I mean, ain't nothing we can do. I ain't nicks and bruises, man. The whole point of the channel was all the suffering we've gone through. I'm not gonna put myself through a lot of it when I don't have to. When there's something to celebrate, when there's something to be proud of, I'm gonna focus on that. You know what I mean? Because I know how scarce that was over the past 25 years. You know what I mean? So I gotta try to be as optimistic as I can. My bad, Sam. You was gonna say something?
But I don't even look at this as a bruise, bro. I don't look at this as one of the bruises of the Knicks.
Oh, absolutely not. How can you?
In the Knicks history. You know what I'm saying? I look at this as a step, towards in the right direction. I know a lot of people, there's gonna be a lot of crazy fans out there that say, oh, all these Knicks fans, they're just happy with mediocrity and all this kind of stuff. It ain't even about that.
And that's where I'm coming from. Like, it's not about being happy with mediocrity. It's not about being content with a second round exit. It's about acknowledging where we are and where we came from. And when I say where we came from, I don't even mean that whole Knicks and Bruises era. I mean where we came from Tibbs and the current organization and the current players that we have, where we came from. That growth. You know what I mean? Like that's accomplishments, and it's like you said, it's steps, it's building towards something. Hopefully that we haven't seen as Knick fans under 50.
Right. You know what I'm saying? So it's good things happening, man. Good things going around with the Knicks.
Yeah, it has great stepping stones. 2 out of 3 in the playoffs, and second round exit was an improvement. 100%.
100%.
And that's what I'm trying to. You know what I mean? I'm trying to stay in that zone until until they do something of epic failure, epic collapse. You know what I mean?
Right.
And let me not even watch my words. Not until, you know what I mean? Since they haven't done anything of that nature, there's no reason for me to be
and
pessimistic.
Oh no. I mean, I like the direction of the team. I like what they're doing, their direction. There's some pieces that they got to add to get better. So that they can advance to hopefully advance to the Eastern Conference Finals or whatever it is. But you look at right now, like Miami's tearing teams up,
getting coaches fired.
You know what I mean?
Potentially breaking
up
teams.
So like, who knows who might fall to the Knicks? And when you look at Miami, and you look at the years, the most recent years, and the way that they've developed, this Miami Heat culture that people talk about, it hasn't been just championship contention every single year. It hasn't been. They grown towards that. I mean, if you go back 2017-18, I think that's when they first got Jimmy Butler. Right? They lost in the first round. The next year they didn't make the playoffs. Right? And then They went to the Eastern Conference Finals in 1920. In 2021, they lost in the first round. 21-22, they go to the finals, and now they're in the Eastern Conference Finals. You know what I'm saying? But you got, 2 years. I mean, you got 1 year they didn't even make it. 2 years they lost in the first round. But you know what? They stuck with the coach, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
Stuck with Jimmy Butler. You know what I mean? Stuck with, so Bam Adebayo. And you see where they are. You see where they
Yeah.
are.
And I mean, you could argue, and if you listen to Knicks, Heat fans over the years, they would argue mistakes was made during the way too.
Yep. Mistakes were made.
Like you talk about that Robinson contract, right? That you could go back as early as this season,
Right.
where he was not in the rotation, when the Heat fans were calling for him to get traded, dumped. Find some way to remove this guy. He's a detriment, a liability, and now you look at the impact, that he has made,
Yeah.
On this run, and he was vital to the run 2 years ago. You know what I mean? So, but stuck with him, gave him the contract, and now it's starting to pay off. Whether you think he's worth that money or not,
Right.
he's having impacts that are making the money worth it. You know what I
Yep.
mean?
Yeah. And you look at, we talk about our players having struggles in the playoffs, right? We look at Jimmy Butler, man. The first year he was ever in the playoffs, he didn't play much. So he only, he played 3 games. He played 1.3 minutes per game, right? This was under Tibbs, 0 points. So obviously that don't even count. The next year he played 40.8 minutes per game in the playoffs. 40.8.
What a difference.
Right? The next season, he averaged 13.3 points, shot 43%. Right? He actually shot 40% from 3 in that series, in that playoff run, right? 12 games. The next season after that, he averaged 13.6 points, right? Shot 38% from the field and shot 30% from 3. All right. Now, this is all within his first 3 years in the playoffs. The next year, he played 42 minutes a game in the playoffs. He averaged 23 points, 44% from the field, 39% from 3. In 16-17, 22.7 points, right? Shot 42% from the field, 26% from 3. But then guess what? He dipped back down when he went to Minnesota. He averaged 15.8 points per game in the playoffs. Right? He shot 44% from the field. He shot 47% from 3 in that series. Philadelphia, 19.4 points per game. 45% from the field, 26% from 3. Right? Then in 1920, he's back up to 22 points per game. He's in Miami now. Then at 31 years old, 2020, 2021, he averaged 14.5 points per game, 7 assists, 7 rebounds. Right? The last 2 years, he's dominated. 27 points per game, 29.9 points per game. Right? But up until the last 2 seasons, people keep saying, oh, he shows up in the playoffs. He shows up in the playoffs. That's really been the last 2 seasons, though. Right? Up until the last 2 seasons, he never averaged more than 22.9 points per game. And I'm not saying that's a little bit, but it's not like what he's doing now. You know what I'm saying? And he had seasons where he averaged 14, where he averaged 15. You know what I'm saying? And this is 28 years old. He averaged 15.8 points per game in the playoffs, right? 2017-18. The next year, at 29 years old, he averaged 19 points per game.
That was Philly, right?
That was Philly, right? In 2020, 2021, 31 years old, he averaged 14.5 points per game.
In Miami.
You see what I'm saying? So, like, when we talk about our players, oh, they're not showing up. They're not showing up. Well, you know what? Jimmy Butler's had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 years in the playoffs. It took him until his last 2 seasons, 33 and 32 years old, to dominate in the playoffs. You know, it's not just a one and done game, man. yeah, we're gonna hear it on TNT and ESPN, and these guys, they not doing this, they not doing that. Oh, Jimmy Butler shows up when he's in the playoffs, but they forgot all about that stuff back then.
And of course they would. There's
Right.
no knock at them. They're it's recency bias.
Recency bias, exactly.
You know what I mean?
You know what I'm saying?
They're not looking at the overall spectrum.
Right.
And again, to back to Julius Randle, I mean, granted, there's no excuses. Two
Nope.
consecutive playoffs,
Nope.
bad performances, but to consider it a track record, or you know what I mean, he is who he is at this point, I think is unfair.
Right. You know what I'm saying? And you know, right, exactly. He is who he is at this point. If that was the case, then Jimmy Butler would have just stayed at a 21 point per game score in the playoffs. Because up until the last 2 years, that's about actually he may have been less than that up
A
until the
little bit
last 2 years.
less. Yeah, probably like 19, 18, 18, 19.
You know what I'm saying? You know, so that's where I think, you know, we have to look at our players in perspective. You know, we're always looking at them, you know, with, you know, bugging out. You know, we got to have some kind of perspective. I'm about to add this up right now for Jimmy Butler. Up until the last 2 seasons, what he's averaged in the playoffs.
Okay. It's gonna be interesting. My guess is actually under 20. I'm gonna go 19 point something.
Yeah, my guess is probably a little bit under 22. 20 as well.
Because you said 22 is the highest, and then there
Right.
was a 14 in there and a 15 in there.
There's a 14, 15, 13, 13. Yep.
No, and don't put that first year in it. Don't.
No,
Let's
I'm
not
not
even.
putting that in.
Don't
That's
even
0.
put that in there.
Yeah, that don't even count. That's 0 points per game, and you know that don't
1
even
minute.
count.
Yeah.
Right. So if you look at it, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So his first 8 seasons in the playoffs. Well, this doesn't even include the first season. Right. So let's just act like that doesn't exist. The first
His
8 seasons in the
first 8
playoffs
seasons with minutes.
with minutes, he averaged 18 points per game. You know what I mean? In the playoffs. And that's probably, I mean, that's kind of accurate. It's not fully accurate. I guess you would have to go game by game. Me, I'm just taking the average of each season, each playoff season. You know what I'm saying? If you go game by game, it would probably change slightly, but still be around the same.
But Sim, I think it's 100% accurate for the simple fact. What did you say his minutes was in the first one that we didn't count, and then what did it jump to in the second one?
Right. So in the when it didn't count in the first one, it was 1.3 minutes per game. So,
and then like so when the first one that really counted, it jumped to what?
40.8 minutes per game.
40.8 minutes. So from then on in, I think it's fair to account for, you know what I mean? To account for everything.
Yeah, account for everything. No, what I'm saying is this is probably it wouldn't be exactly accurate because this is just taking the average of each season. Where if you go game by game, it could be a little bit different if you go game by game. But for the most part, it's around 18, 19.
And there's a bunch of variables in there. You know what I mean? Like you talk about what was his role in each individual
what was
year.
his role?
You know what I mean? Like
was Derrick Rose there? You know how all of that stuff. You know what I mean?
Because even Minnesota, I mean, he was probably their best player. He was probably, you know what I mean, the most seasoned player.
Yeah.
But the ball was going through Cat. The ball was going through, you know, Wiggins. He was there as more of a third option.
Yeah.
And performing with first option.
Yeah. I mean,
you know
he averaged 22 points. Yeah, he averaged 22.9 points per game that season. And then in the playoffs, you know, he averaged. This is what Minnesota. Then in the playoffs, he averaged 15.8. Right, the season he averaged 14.5. With Miami, he averaged, that was 2021. He averaged 21.5 during the regular season. So let's just be patient with our guys. You know what I mean? Because It'd be up and down story. Be up and down story, and guys can learn. I
and
mean,
get better.
guys can learn.
And you know, I mean, one thing, if I'm gonna give Randall credit about anything as far as on this in this Knicks organization, he bounces back.
He's
You
been
know what
able
I
to
mean?
bounce back.
He's been able to bounce back. We have yet to see it in the playoffs yet, but the fact that he's able to bounce back from I what I call like one of the worst scrutinized seasons from a Nick, you know what I mean? Like and come back and surpass his best year and do better than that. I mean, I gotta have faith in the guy that
Yeah.
he's able to figure things out in the playoffs.
Right. I mean, Randall might be the most hated Nick ever. For real. I don't know if people hate him or Charles Smith more. I don't know. Charles, people started hating Charles Smith when he missed all them layups, putbacks, or whatever against the Bulls. I don't know who they hate more, man.
It ain't even right if it ain't no Knicks and Bruises references. Oh, that was a tough one, man. That was a tough one. Just dunk the ball, man. Go strong.
You know what I'm saying?
And he was so good before that. You know what I mean? Like
Right.
that defined his career in a lot of Knicks fans' eyes. You know what I mean? Like that was his defining moment.
Yep.
And it sucks because you talk about talent at what 6'10". You know what I mean? Like stretch the floor at that time in or that era. You know what I mean? Like he was. I'm not gonna call him a unicorn, or that, but I think he was super talented, man.
Right. Yeah, he
Just
was. He
soft.
was. He was.
Oh man.
Yeah.
But I mean that's all I really wanted to talk about. You know what I mean? A short show. The Knicks. I mean, excuse me, the Heat and their dominance. To me, it should open a lot of eyes for Knicks fans who were down in the dumps after losing to them. Nobody's
Yeah.
okay with a loss.
Right.
But when you put perspective behind it, when you look at what they did against Milwaukee, what they're currently doing against Boston, I mean, we could sit here and literally be like, hey, we gave them their toughest, we were their toughest adversary as of yet in these playoffs. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? And the further they go, you know what I mean? I don't care what nobody says, but for me, if you lose to the eventual Eastern Conference champ or the eventual NBA champ, you know what I mean? That's
Mm-hmm.
something that you could tell yourself, hey, we right there. You know what I mean? We
Right.
right, you know what I mean? We
Right.
right.
I mean, I'm actually rooting for Miami to win it all.
I am too.
You know what I'm saying? Just because if I lose, I'd rather lose to the champions. Rather lose to the champions.
I agree.
You know?
But what say you guys leave some comments in the chat. Let me know if the Heat's dominance has changed your opinion on how we lost, and let me know.
Yeah.
Sim, is always a pleasure. Go ahead.
Okay, I got just a quick question for you. Just looking at some guys that are going to be free agents this year, who would you go after? I'm gonna just name off some names. I'm gonna start from the top of the list. Just a little teaser of some
What's
talks
to
that we're going to
come?
be doing. Yeah. Obviously, James Harden has a player option. All right, probably out of our price range this summer. Kyrie Irving, he's going to be an unrestricted free agent. Pretty sure he's out of our price range. I'm not really interested in messing around with Kyrie anyway. Fred VanVleet, really no need. We already got that guy. You got Kristaps Porzingis. I'm not feeling Kristaps. He's got a player option. I'm not feeling KP unless he's coming off the bench. I know he can shoot the three and all of that. I'm just, I don't know. I'm not feeling it. Chris Middleton has a player option.
Might be out of our price range.
Probably
He
out of
was
our
on
price
he was
range.
on my list though.
Yeah. I think in 2020, this year past, he made 37, 38 million. You know what I mean? So probably out of our price range. Vucevic is a free agent. Um, he made 22 million this season. Who knows what he'd be looking to make? He's going to make that or more.
Which one is Vucevic, the Bulls or
The
Portland?
Bulls. The Bulls. Nikola Vucevic. 17.6 points per game, 11 rebounds, 3.2 assists, 52% from the field, 34.9% from three.
He changes the dynamic of our team.
Yeah, he'd be interested. I'd be interested if we could get Vucevic. You know what I'm saying? I think I like Mitch, but I think that would change the dynamic of our team so much because he can shoot the three, he can post up, he can pass the ball. He's like a Jokic, a poor man's Jokic. You know what I mean? Except he's not going to bring the ball up the floor.
To me though,
But
my only like I think he could do wonders for our team. I think the price range
yeah,
is
price
I don't know
range.
if he's
Yeah.
worth the price range. To
I
me,
mean,
you
if
say
he's,
he's a poor man's Jokic. I think he's a rich man's Cantor.
I think he's
Eh,
better than Cantor.
I mean, that's why I say the rich man's Cantor. You know what I mean? Like he's
Because, but when I look at Cantor really could just rebound and post up. He wasn't doing much else. Like he can, he shoots 35% from the 3-point
he's a
line
legit
and he can
shooter.
pass the ball. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? So I think um, I think he can do those things very well. Um, I think he would really help open the floor up for us. You know,
I mean,
and if he's around the same level at 22 million,
is
I
he?
don't know. He made 22 million this year that passed.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah,
I didn't know that.
Yeah, he made 22 million. So I don't know how much more he would be asking for, but if
Yeah,
he stays around the
I wouldn't
same,
even consider him overpaid. Then I thought he was in that 30 range
mm-mm.
and going up.
Yeah, no, he's making 20. He made 22 million this past year.
That's super interesting. I mean, we could only do it in a sign and trade,
Right.
but that's super interesting.
Yeah.
He's a big defensive liability. I get it. We would need. It would have to be a similar situation to I forgot who we were referring to, but I would want to keep Mitch,
Right.
and you know what I mean. So I have that defensive offensive
Right.
switching, and
Right.
look at him as the upgrade on
Yeah.
Hartenstein.
Now people were mentioning, that Vucevic can't stay healthy. The last 2 seasons, he played 73 games with Chicago. Actually, he played 73 games altogether between Orlando and Chicago, and he played 82 games this season.
Hmm?
So maybe he's gotten those things passed.
Under wraps.
Yeah, those injuries, maybe he's gotten them under wraps.
Mm. All right, all right. We
And
go
then
we gonna put him on our docket
yeah,
board to
yeah.
discuss.
And then the season before then, let me see, 22-23, he played 82 games. 21-22, he played 73 games. That's with Chicago. The season before then, 2021, he played 70 games. 1920, he played 62, but wasn't that the short year?
Yeah,
1920?
yeah,
That was the short year, right? So there was only
yeah.
72 games in that season. He played 62 of them. The season before then, 18-19, he played 80 games. So that's not bad.
Mm.
That's not bad. He's there. He's there.
I Heart and Obi.
Yeah.
i-
And
Is
look,
that
he was an
enough?
all-star. He was an all-star in 18-19. He was an all-star in 2021. So he's been an all-star twice.
We probably got to throw a pick in there too. Then it'd probably be I Heart Obi and a pick, right?
Yeah, but something like that would be interesting, I think. You know what I mean? I
Yeah,
think you do gotta. D
I
Public
don't
Enemy
do it
say,
if we
listen,
lose Mitch.
D
I
Public Enemy said he missed a bunch of games this season, but I'm looking at Basketball Reference right now, and in 22-23 it says he played 82 games and he started 82 games. That's what it says.
he's talking about on the Bulls, not Portland. Just I think they got similar names. I don't know if
Yeah. I'm not talking about the dude in Portland. We're not talking about him. We're talking about Nikola Vucevic from the Chicago Bulls.
yeah, I don't know if he was getting them confused
Yeah,
like I
maybe.
was.
Yeah,
But
the other dude stays injured. He can't stay on the court for nothing. I know who you're talking about. Can't think of his name right now, but the
it's
dude from
similar.
Portland.
I think because didn't they get traded for each other?
Oh, maybe I don't know.
I think they got traded for each other.
No, you're talking about
Jokic,
Yusuf
Nurkic,
Nurkic. Yeah,
Nurkic. Yeah,
Nurkic. Yeah,
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 yeah, yeah,
yeah. He
yeah.
stays injured. He stays injured. You know what I mean? Let me see
Who
who
else you got
else.
on that list?
Uh, Draymond Green, but he
I
plays that
don't think
power
he's in the
forward spot.
he ain't in the price range either. That would
Yeah.
have
I mean, he might be after this season. He made 25.8 million this season. And
yeah, he's
now,
probably looking for a Chris Paul minimum, a Chris Paul type deal that he got from the Suns, 3 year, 100 million. He's probably looking for something at minimum at that
right.
number.
Then you got Jeremy Grant.
I've always been a
Right.
fan. I've always been a fan. I I don't know how we get him, and I don't know how we fit him in. I was under the impression that he could still play the 3. A lot of people think he's cemented himself as a 4.
I think I mean, I don't know. I think he probably has cemented himself as a 4. You
And a
know,
starter then, and as well. I think he cemented himself
what is
as a
he?
starter as
6'8",
well.
210. I think the question is out with him. Can he put up strong stats on a good team? Because since he left the Nuggets, he's put up good stats, but it's been for the Pistons and for the Blazers.
But what was
Neither
his stats
one of them winning.
on Denver? Because I felt like Denver, his numbers were still good, not a far drop off from where they took him
So
from.
when he was in Denver, he averaged 12 points a game. In 1920, he
I
averaged
guess that
12.
is
And
that's
then he
probably
went,
like 8 point difference, right?
yeah, then he went to 10 point. He went to Detroit and he averaged 22.3.
No, I'm at the year prior to Denver though.
The year prior to Denver, he was in OKC. He averaged 13.6.
13. Oh, okay. So
Yeah.
that's what I was kind of referring to. Because I
Yeah.
would see his role more closer to Denver on our team than obviously on Detroit.
Mm-hmm.
The funny thing is, when he left Denver, it wasn't about money. It was strictly about role.
It was about role. He wanted to prove that he could be the guy. You know what I'm saying? So,
And
he
and even in that, he ends up in Portland to not be number one. You know what I mean?
right,
Like,
right,
so
right,
it is I guess that's about him kind of finding himself,
right,
and does he still want to be the guy?
right.
Because remember, him going to Portland, that wasn't like his decision. I think if it was up to him, his mind would still be in that number one guy role. They just made the decision to say, all right, we're going to utilize you as an asset. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And where
I
you're
mean,
going, your role is not going to be number one.
did he sign to Portland or I think
No,
he
he got
signed.
traded to, I thought he got traded to Portland. He's a free agent now. And that's the whole thing. Like they traded for him thinking they would be, you know what I mean, in the running to keep him long term. Not saying they're not, but that's a decision right now. Portland's got to make. Do they want to re-sign him? I don't know how that cap space is. If they don't re-sign him, is that money that they could use for somewhere else? Because isn't that I think their son is a big a free agent too, right? They got to make that decision too.
Yeah, I think they probably move. Talking about Portland,
Yeah.
they might move on from him because of the injury history. You know what I mean? But I mean, he has played the three in his career. So he's 6'8", 210. You know what I mean?
Again, a low maintenance move though. You know what I mean? Obviously not. I mean, I think everybody we're gonna kind of really briefly talk about is low maintenance
Yeah.
move.
Brooke Lopez, that's probably not. I don't know. I mean, he can shoot the three and
He
stuff.
can shoot the three. He can
He can
stretch the
rebound.
floor,
He can block shots. So who knows?
and and he might be a guy we could bring on as a third center. I don't think he has to start. You know what I mean? I don't think he. You know what I mean? Like when and let me rephrase that. I don't. When I say third center, I don't mean like third string,
Right.
but I'm saying we may not have to get rid of a Mitchell or a Hartenstein.
Oh, I mean, one of those
Um.
guys will probably move down the depth chart though,
Yeah.
because
Absolutely.
he's
Absolutely.
he's gonna play.
Absolutely.
He averaged 16 points a game, 6.7 rebounds, 1.8 blocks, 53% from the field, and 37% from three.
How much of his game do you think he's sacrificed being in Milwaukee, or do you think it's more of the opposite where obviously, he's been a star before, but the game has declined, so the role in Milwaukee kind of helped him
That's
more
what I
than
think. That's what I think. I think that his game declined a little bit, and so his role, he adjusted his game. And he was willing to let other guys be the star guy. You know what I'm saying? While he just adjusted his game to now he can knock down threes and stuff like that. You know?
that's another guy you got to
Yeah.
give when it's all said and done. You got to give a lot of props and
Yeah,
respect to
no doubt.
of where he started at. I mean, he
Right.
was a star by default in a sense, but the numbers you can't argue with. You know what I mean? And it's not
Right.
like the Nets were. I mean, we were the Knicks were the laughing stock at the time. So I mean, you can't take nothing away from his great years, but to reinvent himself and prolong his career, salute to him.
Yeah. Kyle Kuzma.
I like Kuzma. I ain't gonna lie.
I
I
mean,
don't think we
he's
could afford him.
they got him, they got him listed as a power forward too.
That's true.
He's
That's true.
6'9".
I don't think he cares where he plays.
Right, because he can handle the rock, he can play any position. He can play either position, in my opinion, because he can handle the ball outside. So I think he can play either position. And he's not like a bruising power forward like Julius Randle. He probably
Hmm.
could play the three. Could he defend the three? I guess is the. I think he probably could do decent enough
Yeah,
job.
I think so too. Um, and honestly, I think part of me would rather him guarding the three than the four, depending on what I mean, who's at that four, and you know what I mean. Like, put it like this: he's on our team, and we're playing the Suns. I think I'd rather him on Booker than KD. Not saying either one is you know what I mean, an easy matchup, but
Yeah.
if I'm choosing, I'd rather him I'd rather his size be a strength than something he has to work through, especially when we're talking
Okay.
about on the defensive
Yeah.
end. I'll say this though. If all things were equal, I think I would if we had a chance at both guys, I think I would want
Go with
Kyle
Durant
Kuzma over Levine.
over Levine
Yeah.
because of the money.
That's a big part of it, but I think Kuz still has
More growing to do.
more growing to do.
Okay. All right. He averaged 21 points per game last season. 21.7 rebounds, 3 assists, 44% from the field, 33% from three. He made 13 million last year. For this year that passed.
And how much of a And see, like he's more. Again, it would have to be a sign and trade still, but he's more in a feasible
right. But
range that we don't.
now, but see, if the Knicks don't pick up Derrick Rose's contract, right, then they would have about 12 million.
But you're also assuming that goes to Hart, which puts us
Does it
right
have?
back. Well,
But
here's the thing. That let's say that 12 goes to Hart or whatever, we would still have the 12.5 mid-level
exception.
cap.
That's what I'm talking
Okay.
about. I'm talking
Okay,
about the
yes.
exception,
Yes.
right? The Knicks would
Yes.
still have a 12, $million exception that, you might be able to convince a guy, sign here for 2 years
One
under this exception. You know what I mean?
yeah, one
And
and one.
1-on-1, we got you next year or something like that. You know what I mean? I mean,
Yeah, but I don't think Kuz is in the position to get paid right now. You know what I mean? Like that's the like
he could.
even if it's from Washington, you know what I mean?
I mean, he
I
could
don't
be in a position to get paid right now. You know what I'm saying? He could be. He could be.
but
Because
I like
I guess
Kuz.
in his mind, he's going to be thinking, "Hey, I'm on the cusp of blowing up." You know what I mean?
I like Kuz because he's not like you say, he's not undersized. You know what I mean? Like he got the length.
Hmm.
He fits exactly what we need
Right.
from a structure wise.
Right. You got Jordan Clarkson out there,
I like him too, but
kind of redundant with
undersized, right?
IQ, right? Kind of the same. Kind of like IQ a little bit.
Mhm.
Maybe he's more established than IQ.
And my hope would be Grimes kind of falls into what he has become. You know what I mean?
Right. But I mean, he's 30 years old. He
Established.
averaged 20.8 points per game last season. I mean, he's a guy that can get you some buckets. There's no doubt about that.
Relationship with Randall.
Yep. Yep.
As the schools.
Yep. As the schools, right. Cameron Johnson, he's a restricted free agent with Brooklyn.
I'm not. Oh. I thought
That
you were
young
saying
kid.
campaign.
Nah,
Cam Johnson.
Cam
I
Johnson. He's a
like
power
Johnson.
forward.
Yeah,
He's
I
a
like
power
Johnson.
forward. I think he's probably going to stay there.
I think he does too, but I
He
like him.
stays there. Harrison Barnes is a free agent.
I've always liked him. You know that. I know you wasn't high on him,
You
or
know.
at times you were. At times for this team, not for this team.
Well, I wasn't high on moving Randall for him
Oh no.
or having him
No.
replace Randall,
And,
but
and that's the thing with when you naming these guys. For the most part, in my mind, I'm looking at them all as additions, as
mhm,
opposed to um messing with the core per se.
right,
So I'm not thinking about any of these guys in replacement of Randall, Brunson, RJ. You know
yeah,
what I mean? I'm looking at them in addition to.
yeah. But I think he stays right there in Sacramento.
I mean, I agree too. After this year,
Yeah,
he's
right,
been there for so long. I do think they take care of him.
right. Now, the only way I see that he would come to the Knicks is if the Knicks traded Randall for somebody, and then you bring in Barnes. You know what I'm saying? And he's looking like, oh, I like this situation over here because he shoots 37% from the three. He averaged 15 points a game.
But him, similar to Grant, I feel like could also play the three.
Oh, that's true. Oh,
And
you think he could play the three?
I do, I do. I mean, he's
Maybe.
older in his years, and he's probably not the defender he was. So with him guarding the three, I think it's gonna have to be based off of who we're playing. You know what I mean? Whether I want him guarding the four or guarding the three. But for the most part, I think defensively he could fit in either spot. He can
Okay.
guard the 3 or
No,
the 4.
yeah, I agree. I think he can
So
guard at 3.
once you can guard either position,
That's true.
I
Then
kind
it
of,
don't matter. Right. Right. You know,
and then
he
the
could be
shooting. He
listen, if the
brings
Knicks could convince
championship pedigree.
if the
Like there's a,
Knicks yeah, if they could convince him to come in and play the 3 alongside Randall, or them two switching off between that 3 and 4, that could be something. That could be something.
I've always liked Harrison Barnes, man. Like, and
Yeah.
it's something about his. To me, I feel like he would be. And I spoke to, I think off camera, but RJ has yet to kind of have his individual mentor on this team. You know what I mean? Like we seen Mook kind of help Randall transition into the role. We've seen
Yeah.
DeAndre Jordan help Mitchell Robinson. We've seen quickly get the help from, I mean, whether you want to say Burks, Rose, whoever, but RJ's never had the guy at his position.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? That could kind of help him and relate to him
Yeah.
in that way on the Knicks.
Right.
And I've always looked at Barnes as that, like something about Barnes' demeanor. You know what I mean? Like he don't
Yeah.
ever seem too high, too low,
Frazzled.
too rattled.
Yeah.
I mean, it's something about that reminds me of RJ that I thought he would be a good guy.
Yeah. Tough, gritty defender. You know what I mean? We'll see. I mean, I think he stays in Sacramento, but who knows? He made 18 million this season that passed. So I don't know what his price tag would be.
And this is why damn Dallas Mavericks, man. This is why that pick could have been so valuable right now. You know what I mean? Because I think that would have made it a lot easier to move one of the expirings or package it, whatever. But I don't. I'm starting to think those guys are going to be harder to move.
Yeah.
Well, I shouldn't say guys because I think Rose. I think they don't pick up the option. One thing I was doing behind the scenes, since I was trying, I was in the Spurs chat all week, right? Ever since they won the lottery, trying to convince them that they need Fournier. You know what I mean? they need to get the countryman, the French countryman, some
Right.
mentorship and support. Man, they wasn't buying it. They
Right.
was not. They was like, how many picks he come with? How many
He
first
come
round
with that. He come with right.
It was like, nah, pass. We'll just get It was like, we'll just get oh man, the point guard, the French point guard. It was like, Tony Parker. We'll get him the video call
Oh,
in.
right.
And Duncan's gonna be here. 5 times a week. He was like,
Yeah.
we don't need him. I was like,
I
damn,
wouldn't be
man.
surprised if Pop trades for Frank Ntilikina.
Shoot.
We might try to put Frank Ntilikina with him.
He might, man. But I was hoping, man. I was like, yo, they don't even. They was like, nah, we'll keep Doug McDermott.
We'll keep Dougie.
But I got super excited. I ain't gonna lie, because I looked at their roster, right, and I was under the impression, looking at their roster, that they got to make some type of move, bringing Victor in, because I mean, you don't project him to be a center out the gate, right? You project him to be a 4 for maybe a couple years while he get his strength up. But if you look at their roster, they got 4s all over the place. From, I mean, where you talk about 3, 4, 4, 5, but that combination of the 3, 4, and the 4, 5, they got at least 7 of them on that roster. Yeah. From the guy that blew up this year, you know what I mean. Devin Vassell, Zach Collins, Victor, obviously. I mean, I think they actually are in a position to kind of move on from one of those guys, but I'll say this: the Spurs chat does not agree with me. They like we keeping them all. Victor
Yeah,
can play the center. I'm like, all right, you gonna get
yeah,
that boy hurt from
yeah.
you
Right.
see what
You
happened
got
with us trying to put KP at the 5 from the jump.
right. You got Russell Westbrook out there. No need for
Mm-mm,
him, in my opinion. Dylan Brooks. I don't know if I want to
mm-mm.
deal with him. There's other people out there. Miles Bridges is a free agent.
He's restricted though, right?
I'm looking at here. It just says free agent, but he might be.
Or was the restriction based off of last year and because nothing was done?
It could have been right. It could be that. So who knows? Who knows what's going to happen with Miles
Hey,
Bridges?
if he's unrestricted, I look at him.
Who knows what's going to happen? But
I don't think does does his legal does his legal troubles bring his salary down? Because I mean, he
heck
was
yeah,
on
I think
he
so.
to under
Uh, th-
20.
I don't know if I don't know. I mean, if nobody wants him, then maybe
I don't think it's, and I think that's again. I'm not sure how the CBA works or whatever, but I know he was a restricted free agent coming into this past season. So if that got null and void and he's unrestricted, I can't see nobody wanting him.
let me
And
see. He
and
signed a 4-year, $16 million contract back in. Let me see when he signed that. Back in 1819.
which would have
Right. So
expired in 22.
he was a restricted free agent in 2022. So
So
he
the
should
fact
be
that no contract was offered, maybe that negates the restriction.
he should be unrestricted. I think he's an unrestricted free agent in
Mm.
2023. Yeah.
I ain't gonna lie, I take the risk.
You know what I
I
mean?
take the
So
risk, Sim. I take the risk. I mean, you talk about shooting, athleticism, um, defense. You talking about we we keep saying we need like a bruiser and enforcer type guy. You know what I mean?
are you
Like I
playing
think
him at the three? Are you
absolutely,
playing him at the three? He's 6'6",
absolutely,
225.
absolutely,
That could be a sneaky get.
absolutely.
That could be a sneaky get. If you could make it happen, it could be a sneaky get, man.
He might even move. He might even move up my list. You know what I mean? Because I think even though the Knicks have seemingly been on the course of getting high, what's the word I'm looking for? Like good reputation guys, good what's the word I'm looking for? Like good morale. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like
yeah, I know
they,
what you mean.
but I feel like we got so many of them. Like maybe you know what I
Right.
mean? We say we be missing that enforcer. So
Yeah,
I mean, and it can't be Randall,
right.
but then you got him and Randall. You know what I mean? Like God forbid they bump heads. It
So
might be an explosion.
it's like I don't see anything anywhere about what.
I
So
know. I thought
here's a little something.
they
It says
suspended him too.
Miles Bridges is a restricted free agent who rejected a 4-year, $60 million contract extension offer from the Hornets last offseason. He is an early favorite for most improved. This was a long time ago before all this other stuff broke out. So
Hmm.
I don't know.
Now, my only
Okay.
question is
Okay, here.
if he.
This is something from February. Huge update on Miles Bridges' potential NBA future with the Charlotte Hornets. Pleading no contest a few months ago in Los Angeles to a felony count of injuring a child's parent, Miles Bridges appears to be preparing to make his NBA comeback. The Charlotte Hornets had to deal with a lot of this past offseason, and perhaps The biggest news surrounding breakout star, blah blah blah. Following the season, blah blah blah. I mean, it's just I'm trying to get to the meat of it. According to a report from ESPN, Bridges is required to complete 52 weeks of domestic violence counseling and 52 weeks of parenting classes, serve 100 hours of community service, and undergo weekly narcotic testing with marijuana allowed only if there's a valid doctor's prescription. I don't see anything that's talking about his actual contract though yet.
So my
Yeah,
question
so I
is,
don't know what kind of contract he would get, or I don't
I,
know.
I I know he has a suspension from the team coming after
Mm-hmm.
pleading no contest. My question is, if no contract was offered last offseason when he was a
Right.
restricted free agent, does the restriction stay?
I don't think so.
Because they like not only was he not offered a contract throughout the league, but neither did the Charlotte Hornets.
Right.
So that might be a stipulation.
Because if the Hornets do not extend the qualifying offer, right? If they don't extend the qualifying offer, that means you're an unrestricted free agent.
But if
And
they extend the qualifying offer and it's not signed, isn't it still the qualifying offer has to be accepted, and then you play out that year for you to then
right,
become unrestricted. So that's
right.
what I'm saying. If no contract at all was signed, whether it's from another team that they could have matched, whether
So
it's the qualifying offer, I think it's like if a guy plays overseas. You know what I mean? You draft a guy who plays overseas or whatever the case, that you still own the bird rights, right? Or you still own the rights. So if he doesn't come for 3 years, whatever contract you have on the table, it starts then. It doesn't start 3 years ago when you drafted him.
right. So on June 28th, 2022, the Hornets extended a qualifying offer to Miles Bridges and Cody Martin. So I don't know if he signed, if he I would think that he would have accepted the qualifying offer.
That kind of makes sense.
Because if not, he
Even
would,
if you
yeah. So I would think he accepted the qualifying offer, even though he's not going to play and he's suspended and all that kind of stuff. And then he's going to be a restricted free agent this summer.
no unrestricted.
I mean, unrestricted. Yeah, unrestricted.
That's I don't know. Everything I've read though is that the Hornets still plan to re-sign him.
Right, right, right.
So I don't know how you could do that unless you have that restrictions. You know what I mean? That right still, that bird right still.
Yeah, I
Because
mean,
you just banking on him not looking around, not seeing what's out there. You know what I mean?
mm-hmm. Yeah.
I wish we had give me a capologist.
Capologist.
We're gonna have to put Andy on that one.
Right. So
Hey,
I don't know
figure out.
if
But
if
nah,
he's
he's
available,
definitely.
they should probably, might be an idea to take a look.
Even
Got
if his value is low, he's a guy that I would be interested in even giving up an asset for.
right. Austin Reeves is going to be a restricted free agent.
He's another one I do like. I'm not gonna lie.
Christian
Everything says
Wood,
I
he's going to
used to
be a
like him.
free agent. Obviously Josh Hart.
Let me ask you this, then.
Uh-huh.
Me and Josh was talking about this behind the scenes the other night. Do you think, me personally, I think it's more likely for Josh Hart to opt in and the Knicks extend him than him opt out and them sign him. And the reason I say that is because the extension money and the signing money are going to be equal. You know what I'm saying? So if he wanted security, wouldn't it make sense to opt in and get the same 4 year, let's say 4 year 80 million, as opposed to opt out and sign a 4 year 80 million? So now you're getting essentially 5 years,
5 years. I
90
mean,
92, more security. You're not losing a penny.
but I
The,
guess if you opt out, he's. I get. I think it's all going to depend on what the market is for him, right? If he thinks he can get 20 million a year for 4 years, then he might opt out. Try to get that 20 million a year for 4 years. If he thinks, I'm probably just going to get 13 million a year, then I might as well opt into my contract and then next year try to sign an extension. You
or
know,
you don't think the Knicks would give him the same money another team would? You think there's a chance he would? You think there's a chance the Knicks lose him? Because
I don't think so. I think he
I'm
wants to
working
be a
under
Knick.
the assumption that when they made the trade, I
Yeah,
don't know if this is legal or not, but when they made the trade, all
they
things were negotiated prior to.
right.
You know what I
I
mean?
believe that the Knicks are going to. I believe he wants to be a Knick, and the Knicks are going to sign him back. I believe that. You know what I mean? I'm just saying, um, if he feels like he can get more money than 12.9 million from the Knicks or any other team, obviously he would need to use other teams to his leverage. He would opt out so he can get that money
But
because
if the money is the same, we're actually giving him the extra. He has, you talking 4 years 80
but I guess
compared to
that I
five
guess
years
there's
92.
but I guess there's like based on how much you make, there's percentages that your salary can go up in an extension or something, I think.
Mm.
So that's where the opt out may, you know what I mean, cause you to make more money. But I definitely think he's re-signing with the Knicks. I don't think there's a doubt about it.
Yeah, I feel like I
Okay,
don't know. I don't think he opts out.
yeah.
I think
Here's
he
a
just
guy I'm gonna
signs the
throw out to
extension
you, young dude, um, KJ Martin.
on Houston, right?
Yeah, I don't know. Would you consider him your starting three?
I'm not 100% familiar with his game. I'm familiar with some highlights, some moments that he's had. Um I know he would be a very like cheap option. You know what I mean? Like he might
Mhm.
even he's not going to cost the mid level, whatever that other exception is, that 4 point whatever. He might be in that range of a guy. How's his shooting though? I know
He
he
shoot,
brings energy. I know he
yeah,
rebounds. I know he
he
plays
shoots
defense.
31.5% from three though. So, but he would definitely be a cheap option, and he had to get his dad in check. Talk about our players.
That's true.
You know what I mean?
That's true. Might have cost your son a job.
You
See what you
know,
did? Nah, I
right?
don't want him. I don't want him.
Oh, what about Kelly Oubre?
Oh, um,
Can definitely
if
defend. Not really a great 3-point shooter though.
not great, not scared though. So I think a lot of things, especially what we've seen with this team, it's more about uh not being afraid to put them up.
Right,
You know what I mean? Than it is about like think about how successful we were this year, not being a good shooting team. So a lot of it had to do with taking the open shot and then us kind of securing rebounds and things of that nature. So I
right.
think he's a guy that would fit, even
Uh,
with him not being a great shooter. I think the fact that he is unafraid to put him up,
yeah,
can get hot at times. You know what I mean? I think he could fit,
yeah.
but he's not like he's
See,
probably like one of my last, you know what I mean, last minute, you know what I mean?
right. My thing
We
with this
can't
three
feel anything
spot,
else.
my thing with this three spot is, I don't want to add just, I don't want to add a mediocre player, man. Like I feel like we're at a point in our lineup. You know, we got to add someone. Let me not say mediocre. I don't want to add
Is
someone that is going to be a guessing game.
and
We,
that's
we
what
we
I
need
was
to
gonna
know that
say.
we're
If
getting
he's a
somebody.
specialist, he could be
Yeah,
mediocre.
right.
If you know this is what we're getting from him, and this is why we're getting him for this, whether let's say his 3-point shooting 43% for his career, 4 years. You know what I mean? I'll take the liabilities that go around it if you have a job and you're gonna come in and do your job specific to you.
Yeah, yeah. Um, this kid right here could be a good player one day. Jalen McDaniels
He's a free agent.
is going to be a free agent.
Is he worth the full mid level?
I don't know, but he's young. You know what I'm saying? He can he can guard,
He's long, athletic. I
long,
mean,
athletic.
he fits the missing.
You know what I'm
You know what I mean?
saying?
The missing
I
elements.
mean, he shoots 33% from three, but you would think that's something that could grow maybe with him. Like he's the kind of guy that you could say, man, maybe we I don't know. But again, I guess he's still one of those question marks that you worried about. You know what I'm
No
saying? But
restrictions either.
nah, I think he's a straight up free agent. And he only made
Because
1.9
wasn't there
million last
talks?
year.
There was talks about the Knicks pursuing him in the trade, wasn't there?
I don't know.
He just got traded for this offseason, right? I mean this season.
He just got traded to Philadelphia this season. Yeah.
Yeah, there was talks about the Knicks. Oh, he's another one. I mean, I'd much rather give him again that 4.5 whatever that second exception is. I'd much rather give him that
Yeah.
than some of these two-way contracts and you know what I mean. Speaking of which, what's the kid we Roby?
Yeah, Roby.
Any thoughts or
I don't
expectations
know.
of
Like I really gotta look at him and see, we'll probably get a chance to see him play during the summer league. Learn a little bit more about him.
somebody said, what about your boy Lofton, the Public Enemy?
Kenny Lofton?
Yeah.
I mean, where's he gonna play though?
No,
Unless Obi ain't gonna be here and he's gonna play backup power forward.
and there's one thing about Obi. The reason why I'm not gun ho on moving on from him,
Mm-hmm.
because one thing you can say is he's a total different dynamic than Randall. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, so it's like
Right.
that's to me that's a benefit. You know what I mean? You're not coming in and bringing in when Randall sits, it's not coming in with the same dynamic. You know what I mean? So if he could just keep fine tuning his game and figuring out how to impact in his limited minutes, I still think there's a chance of a minute increase,
Mm.
even if it's small. You know what I mean?
Right. See, I think in order for his minutes to increase, one of those two guys got to be it. Tom Thibodeau's got to trust one of those two guys to play the three.
Mm.
You know what I'm saying? Where now that's where their minutes come from. And that's why some guys, that we named, like a Harrison Barnes can go either way. He could play 3 or 4. You know what I'm
Do
saying?
you think the utilization of Toppin is geared towards pushing him into being able to play the three?
He's got to defend it.
I
Like
mean,
you
no,
were
no,
saying earlier. I don't know.
I get that, but I mean, a lot of people argue that he's being utilized wrong. And and I'm only speaking offensively, but if you look at how he's utilized more as a three than a traditional four.
Yeah, I
You know
mean,
what I mean?
because he
So
doesn't
I'm
have a
wondering if
post
that's
up
what they
game
see.
really. You know,
I don't know that.
you know.
I think he has more of a post up game than Richie Robinson.
Well, yeah, yeah, he has
And
a
this
little
is like
more.
even dating back to college. Like
Yeah, yeah,
he
he
wasn't
definitely
just
has
a
that.
dunker, and you know what I mean. Like he had.
I mean, he definitely has more than Mitchell Robinson. You know what I'm saying? But I don't think it's anything that you can consistently go to him with. You know what I'm saying? I view him. To me, he's more like Sean Marion.
Mm,
Like that's what I see him as, Sean
mm.
Marion.
That's. I mean, I never even looked at that. I mean, obviously that's probably because of the defense, and like
You
the
know,
first thing I
like
think of was Sean Merritt.
yeah,
But
like he would.
offensively, I never even that. I think that is a
Yeah,
great. I've always looked at him more in a Blake role, but I think you're spot on. I think Sean Marion actually makes a better comparison. Running the floor, athletic,
yeah.
shoot on the wing.
Mm-hmm.
The only thing he's missing is defense. defense.
Missing the defensive side. You know what I mean? If
Yeah.
Mike D'Antoni was the coach of this team,
Oh my God. Don't give me more
O-
Knicks and Bruce.
Obi would be out there on the floor and he'd be averaging 20,
You know what's funny? I
catching
wouldn't be
mad
surprised
dunks.
if a lot of the fan base they would probably subscribe to that
Yeah,
because
but our
you
defense
think
would be
about it,
horrible.
Randall will probably be situation under D'Antoni.
Randall wouldn't be on this team.
Yeah,
Mike D'Antoni
and
would have
if he
traded
was,
him.
I agree 100%. He would utilize Obi. Um, oh my God, don't he already had the
Look,
Stoudemire
I'm gonna tell you.
comparisons.
Look. I'll tell you what, and people will get mad, but Obi would have been the power. Obi would have been at the power forward. Brunson would be running that point guard spot, similar to what you know Steve Nash was doing. Not saying he's Steve Nash, but he would have him playing that style. You know what I mean? Um,
You probably
you
drive more too.
you might still have Kevin Knox on the team because he plays a D'Antoni style of game, in my opinion, with him with shooting the three. You know what I'm saying? At the center spot, you might
Hartenstein,
Hartenstein,
Hartenstein.
maybe he might still use Mitch, just for the lob threats because he would want to put all shooters around the perimeter.
That's true too. That's true too.
You know what I'm saying?
That's true.
Um, and at the shooting guard spot, I mean,
Grimes probably still.
Grimes. So you might not even have RJ. He might move RJ for somebody else. So you would have Grimes playing some defense out there. I don't know who else would be out there on the floor playing any defense.
Grimes and Mitch, I guess.
Grimes and Mitch, I guess. You know what I mean?
Oh man.
And our defense would be, you know what I mean? I don't think we see him as we don't see Randall as a lockdown defender. That's not what we're saying. But he's a better defender than Obi. But we're saying he doesn't play Mike D'Antoni's style of basketball on the offensive side. That's why he would be moved. And Obi would be out there playing the power forward spot, and a guy like Kevin Knox would be playing the three spot, in my
The
opinion.
only thing I will say that may save Randall is D'Antoni might play Randall and Toppin together and Randall at the
maybe,
5.
maybe.
And I can see him.
Yeah.
I can see him
You can
doing
see
that.
something like that.
Now it's 5 out. You know what I mean? It's running the floor.
And D Coolest, you said the defense is already horrible. That's a lie. That's a lie. We were just talking about this earlier in the show. Look at what the Knicks did with Miami, and look at Milwaukee, and look at Boston. Come on.
Even with the
They had
loss,
some bad spots.
I
The
think we
Knicks
were
had
still top 5 defense in the playoffs.
Yeah, the Knicks had bad spots defensively this year, but it ain't nothing like what you would see if Mike D'Antoni was here. I'm saying that right now. I couldn't imagine, but Obi would definitely be averaging 20 a game. He'd be averaging 20.
The funny thing is, I think some people would like that. They would not mind D'Antoni for swap out with Tibbs and then let him mess around with his offensive philosophies and
Miami shot 30% from the 3-point line in our series, buddy. 30%.
Miami beat us at our own game. They didn't shoot the ball well. They got offensive rebounds. They had low turnovers. Like everything that carried us throughout the year and in that first series, Miami did to us.
Yeah,
literally.
Yeah. Miami literally had one game where they shot the 3 ball really well. One game in our series where they shot the 3 ball really well, and that was game 3. And both teams actually shot the 3 ball well in that game. Now, I'm not saying that there weren't open shots, because there were. I'm not saying that, and I'm not saying the Knicks defense was perfect, because it obviously wasn't. You know what I'm saying? But it was by no means terrible in this series. You're talking about a team that averaged 124 points against Milwaukee. They're averaging 120 games against Boston, and they never scored more than 108 against the Knicks. I mean, everything can't be a narrative. Sometimes we gotta look at the truth. Every once in a while, gotta look at the truth.
Here's what I will say to the Coolest. They got open shots.
They got some open shots.
They got open shots, but they didn't shoot the. You know what I mean? They weren't shooting lights out against us. They actually shot pretty poorly.
Yeah, they got some open shots. Knicks got some open shots too. I mean, in game 1, they shot 33% from the 3-point line against us. Not bad. In game 2, obviously the Knicks won that game. In game 2, Miami shot 34% from the 3-point line against us. The Knicks shot 40%. All right, game 3 is where they lit it up, kinda. Right, but the Knicks, they still only scored 105 points in that game. Right, they shot 38.9. They shot 21.9% from the 3-point line in that game.
We shot well.
No, in game 3, that's where we got blown out, 105-86. They shot 21.9% from the 3-point line in that game.
And what we shoot?
We shot 20%.
Okay.
And we shot 34% from the field. They shot 38.9% from the field. In game 4, Miami shot 33% from the 3-point line, 47% from the field. In game 5, one of these games they shot well. In game 5, they shot 30% from the 3-point line, 42% from the field. So maybe they didn't shoot well in any of them, because in game 6, they shot 25.9% from the 3-point line and 40% from the field.
So 38 was their best game.
30. I don't even think it was 38. Did I say 38?
Oh yeah, then you corrected it.
Yeah, I think 34% was their best game from the 3-point line in the series. So I mean,
I think they beat us at our own game.
And right now they're shooting like anything else. What are they shooting? 38 or 40% from the 3-point line against Boston right now. You know what I mean? So I don't know.
But yeah, man, get out of here. This was a long hits with Scent.
Yeah. Right.
But I appreciate you jumping on with me. I'm still looking forward to this off season. I feel like there's gonna be a lot of surprises. You know what I mean? A lot of things that come out of nowhere, especially with the way this season is transpiring. I think coaches are the first dominoes to fall, but I
Mm-hmm.
think there's gonna be a lot of things that get shook up throughout the league this year. I mean, everywhere
I
from
agree.
LeBron wanting to, solidify and end off his Laker career with a bang. I think they're gonna make some moves. I think a lot of guys, uh, what's the guy's name from the Wizards?
Rui,
You Louis. Yeah, I think
Rui.
Rui. I think he might. You know what I mean? He might pop up and become available. Who
Mm-hmm.
knows? Austin Reeves. They're gonna have decisions to make, is what I'm saying. Who
Yeah,
knows what the shakeup in Boston ends up being? From
right.
anywhere from Brown to
Yeah.
Smart. You know what I
Hey,
mean? They're gonna
you
make
know,
changes.
I'm interested in this Jalen McDaniels dude. I mean, I've always liked Jaden McDaniels. Jaden, I thought that the Knicks should have
Oh,
drafted him.
am I thinking
Well, they're
one
brothers.
is one is on Minnesota, one is on the Pelicans,
Jaden is on Minnesota,
Minnesota
and Jalen
is
is
on
in
Philly.
Philadelphia.
Oh, I
They're
might be
brothers.
thinking of the other one. I might be thinking of the one in Minnesota.
Okay.
I'm
Well,
not
they're brothers though. They're brothers
okay.
in the league, but I mean, I don't know. I'm liking this.
Actually, I might have
I'm
thought
liking
they
it.
was the same person, yo.
I
I
think
might
a
have
lot of
thought he,
people mix
I
them
might
up
have
because
thought
they're
he
not.
got bounced around like that.
A lot of
So
people
who's
not.
the younger one?
I think Jalen is the younger one. Jalen is 25. No, actually, Jaden is the younger one. He's 22.
Okay. Mm.
You
Well,
know,
I'm sure you probably do a video on him.
I just,
Once the off
like
season.
kind of fits the bill, man. But 6'9", 205, plays defense. But I don't know if he's ever going to become the shooter that we need. So I don't know. I don't know.
Vaughn Allen, man, I appreciate
Shot.
you for tuning in, man. You know what I mean? As well as everybody else in the chat. The coolest, you know what I mean? Who else we got in here?
Yeah.
Kavon, the Public Enemy, Nixon Nice, everybody, man. Appreciate you guys for sure.
Yeah.
Um,
Forgot about it. I mean,
so
we're
you
gonna
got
we're gonna do a lot of these free agent things over the summer. So like I see someone asking about Nas Reed. I see someone asking about Bruce Brown.
Bruce Brown. Before we get out of here, I know we talked off here a little bit. I
Mhm.
really like this guy, man. I know we need size. I know we need size, Sim.
Yeah,
But
I
some
get it.
guys play above their height. You know what
He,
I mean? Like,
he's a winner, like a Gabe Vincent type of dude, man.
yeah.
As a matter of
I
fact,
mean, like a Josh Hart.
Gabe Vincent, and Max Strus are free agents too.
Yeah. Yeah.
Pretty sure they're gonna
Um,
re-sign with Miami, but
Struess might be in for. He might look. He might look around. Check. You know what I mean? He might see what's out there. I think Gabe is a lock.
yeah. But with
Bru-
Tyler Hero coming back, one of those two guys
Mm,
are gonna lose a lot of minutes.
that's true. And you can't have enough size. I mean, Gabe been. I mean, they both. Gabe been doing
I would
big
love
things in the
Gabe Vincent.
playoffs. I think Struess, he's kind of has the longer track record,
Yeah,
like as far as
yeah.
throughout the
But
season and the playoffs.
I just feel like Gabe Vincent is tough. I would love I would love to have him on this team. I just feel like he's tough. He's tough-minded. He's not afraid of the moment, obviously. You know what I'm saying? He's just like that.
Are you
He
willing to
brings
move
that.
pieces for him?
He brings that toughness, man. You know what I mean? Am I willing to move pieces for him? I mean, he's a free agent. You can sign him. I don't know how much money he's actually going to
I
get.
mean, let me rephrase that. Obviously, he jumps the pecking order of Deuce McBride. Does he
Yeah.
jump the pecking order of Quickly? So I didn't necessarily mean move, but you see him playing alongside of Quickly.
I mean, I look at him. He's kind of. I think he would play alongside Quickly. He would probably be a guy that if the Knicks, I think they look at Josh Hart as being, uh, you know, doing what Gabe Vincent does, but I think Gabe Vincent can shoot it way better than Josh Hart. You know what I'm saying? And if the Knicks would have tried to get Gabe Vincent, he's 26 years old. They would have tried to get Gabe Vincent. He would probably replace Josh Hart. Let's say the Knicks lost
Mm.
Josh Hart. He would probably replace Josh Hart.
If we lose Josh Hart, I'm going. I want Bruce Brown.
Okay.
I want
All
Bruce
right.
Brown.
All
I
right.
feel like I was high on him from what I saw from him when he was on the
On
Nets.
the Nets.
You know what I mean? Like
Nah,
I
he
felt
can
like he
ball.
was under the radar, blue collar. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
Like I feel like to me he does exactly what Hart does.
Yep.
I think he might have a little bit more versatility.
Okay.
You know what I mean? But I could be wrong. They could be. You know what I
I
mean? The
mean,
Spider
I
Man
kind of
meme.
see him as like the same guys,
That's what I'm
really.
saying. They
Like
could be the
really the
Spider Man
same
meme
guys. You know what
pointing
I'm
at each
saying?
other because you
Like,
you know
like
I
when
give
I
I give Bruce Brown the credit for playing the 4 position on a Nets team, undersized, but every night just put up that fight. But I could see Hart doing that in the pinch. You know what I mean? By
yeah.
necessity, more than
Yeah, yeah,
by
yeah. I can see with Gabe Vincent, the reason why, and I'm not even thinking the Knicks have or are trying to get him, but I would choose Gabe Vincent over Bruce Brown because I feel like he can create a shot better than Bruce Brown. He can put it on the floor and create a shot. And we've seen it, we've seen him do it in Miami against us. I mean, he just had what, 29 the other night against Boston?
yeah.
You know what I'm
I
saying?
mean, it's I like him. I like him too. I like him too. But it's something I
Yeah,
don't know. It's something about just seeing him in Brooklyn and then now watching him in these Western Conference Finals.
right. Nah, I hear you. I hear you.
Super versatile. My last guy before I get out of here. Don't throw no tomatoes at me. But actually, never mind. He's not even a free agent. I don't think. But I'm not opposed to bringing Burks back, man.
I mean,
I'm not.
neither. I'm not opposed to bringing Burks back.
I think he's another one that could have been very vital in the series.
Yeah, I think he could have helped us in this series big time. One, he's a clutch player.
Clutch player.
You know what I'm saying? You're not asking him to play point guard, but he could have helped handle the basketball because we needed ball handling. You know what I'm saying? He can shoot the three, and he's clutch,
Defender and a
and he's
defender.
a defender, and he could be clutch. I think he would have helped us out tremendously. I wouldn't be surprised if he's back with the Knicks
Hey,
under Tom Thibodeau next year
he's my he's
because
my under the radar move.
yeah, because people keep saying Tom Thibodeau only wants to go with 9. I actually think he will go with 10 again. He will go with 10. I think he went with 9 this year because it worked, and he, he cut out Fournier and cut out Rose and went with Deuce. And then Josh Hart came in and replaced Deuce, and he didn't go back to the 10-man rotation, in my opinion, because he, Tom Thibodeau's all about stability,
Consistency. Yeah.
consistency. You know what I'm saying? So, what we've been rocking with 9, I'm just gonna keep it here and we can start fresh and new next year. You know what I'm saying? I wouldn't be surprised to see him going with a 10-man rotation next year. And
Nah,
and he may have felt like having Deuce and Hart out there with Quickly is just too small, right? So he put RJ there. And that's why I feel like if the Knicks if they get a starting 3, somebody, and they sign somebody, let's just say that's a starting 3, and Quentin Grimes went to the bench, Quentin Grimes would still be in the lineup, and it would be a 10-man rotation. I still think there's a wing position available that hasn't been filled yet. A starting 3 position. I still think that's available. You know what I mean? And like, let's say I don't know. Let's say they signed Kyle Kuzma. He decided, okay, cool. I'll take $12 million, right? This is just hypothetically. And they signed Kyle Kuzma, and they started Kyle Kuzma at the 3. I think Quentin Grimes would go to the bench, and it would be a 10-man rotation.
And that gives us that length.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Moving RJ to the 2 with a
Right.
6-7-3.
Exactly. So I still think it's available. I don't think he's just going to just, I'm only doing a 9-man rotation. I think that's what worked for this year. And next year it's going to be a whole new set of habits that they build, and that position, I think you can still rock. I think he'll still rock with a 10-man rotation if he gets in someone that he trusts is going to do it defensively, and such and such and such.
Yeah, at least until we get to the playoffs.
Right.
Then you got to tighten it up.
Yeah, but see, Kevin, I agree. He said we will never be a true contender without a quality wing, and I think that's the position that's open right now. Another quality wing. You know what I mean? Yeah, I think that's the position that's open, and they kept it open. In my opinion, they kept it open for a reason, because Cam Reddish was in that spot.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yeah.
They didn't feel like Cam Reddish was getting the job done. So they moved it on. They didn't feel like they had another wing that was going to come in and get the job done, not even Evan Fournier. So I think that is what's open, and from the way that we've seen this team work, right? Think about this now. Even last season, people were calling for Emmanuel Quickley to start, right? But they didn't start Emmanuel Quickley. Why? Why didn't they start him? You know why? Because Jalen Brunson was coming.
Yep.
And they weren't going to start Emmanuel Quickley and then bring in Jalen Brunson to take the spot.
Get the hopes up. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Get the fans all riled up.
Exactly.
And that's a great point, because they had every opportunity going back to down the stretch when the main guys were out. You know what I mean?
Yep. They were not going to give him that spot and then take it away from him because they knew Jalen Brunson was coming. You know what I'm saying? So it was like, we're not going to do that. We're holding this spot for Jalen Brunson, and I feel like it's the same thing going on with this 3 position. We're not going to give somebody hope to think that they're going to rock with this 3 spot right now. We're going to let RJ fill that spot with the bench unit, and then we'll figure out how we're going to fill that wing position. That's what I feel like is happening now, and I think is their priority, filling that wing position.
Gabe Vincent or Gary Trent Jr.?
Ooh. I'd go with Gary Trent Jr.
Okay.
Yeah, Okay. I'm definitely going with Gary Trent Jr.
I had to test you out there. I had to test you.
Yeah. But yeah, that's what I think. No, D Coolest, I don't think if they resign Hart, he'll be that small forward. I don't think so. I think Hart is there. Deuce is situational now. And I think they're looking for a 6'8" type of wing. That's what Cam Reddish was supposed to be. And I think they're looking for a 6'8" type of guy. That's just my opinion. You know what I'm saying? I think they're looking for a 6'8" type of guy. And if they can get that 6'8" defensive guy that can score and shoot and do some things like that, he'll be in the starting unit, and Quentin Grimes will go to the bench. That's what I
Trent Jr., he's like a 6'4", right?
Yeah,
he's
6'4".
That's the only thing. Like, that's my only concern, because I agree we need 6'7", 6'8", 6'9" wing. Do you hold out for that particular, or do you fill a shooting void? And
you
then,
could do that,
you know what I mean?
Right. You could do that. Fill a shooting void. You know what I'm saying? Fill a shooting void.
You may not be able to get both or both in one, like you were saying earlier.
Right. But I think they're gonna be looking for both in one. I think they know exactly what they want to add, and I think that's what they want to add. That's what I think. You know what I mean? And so I guess we'll be seeing what they're looking for. Cam Johnson.
He fits the bill, like you were saying
Yeah.
earlier.
You know. Who's the other guy? DJ Shuttle said OJ Ananobi fits the bill.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that's the kind of guy that fits the bill. So that's what I think they're looking at. And it's not any knock to Quentin Grimes. He just, if Quentin Grimes was 6'8", I don't think they'd be looking. You know, I
Yeah.
just think that length means a little bit as far as defending these guys, and but we'll see what
Oh,
they decide to do. We're gonna have a long summer to talk about it.
any word on what we doing for the draft? We doing a
Uh,
watch along or something?
I'm most likely a watch along, and then trying to do a cookout or something like that. So we just haven't gotten everything confirmed and locked down yet. But most likely, the party, the draft party, will be at Legends, most likely. I mean,
All
but
right.
I am gonna call Barclays and see if they want to, if they're trying to do something with like group tickets or something. Like last year they was trying to do it, but they called me too late. We were already locked in at placing AC. So I'm gonna
Yeah.
see if they're trying to do something like that. But I don't know how many people want to really go. The Knicks don't have no draft pick or nothing like that.
Well,
But
that was
those
gonna be
tickets
my
are
next
normally
question.
cheap, like $15. So we'll see.
And
It
I
might
don't
be a
I
little
don't
more.
put it past them into buying in or trading into
Yeah.
the not lottery
Right.
but draft. Um I do want to say shout out to Knicks Film School. They put out a 3-part series earlier today. It's all
on
great, but if you go to
on
the
what?
um it's the cap or no cap series.
The capology stuff.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and they kind of focused on the draft and went through all the teams and who could potentially be willing to sell or move out of the draft. Some teams with multiple picks, but
Mm-hmm.
it was a great listen
Breakdown.
because certain teams have cap restrictions, so they may rather not have a guaranteed contract
Mm-hmm.
at number 20 or wherever it is late in the draft that they know they're gonna be paying double for it when it comes
Right.
to luxury
Right.
tax.
Right. Right.
And now,
They might
maybe
be
one of
willing
our
to.
future picks or even actually one of the focuses was the value of late first round picks being multiple seconds. So
Right.
the Knicks could potentially give up 3, 4 second round picks
Yeah.
and move into this draft currently,
Right.
and it would help
Okay.
another team as well as us.
Yeah.
So good
Um.
stuff by them.
Um. I'm gonna check out. I'm gonna call the Barclays, find out what's up with the draft. If because they called me late and was like, "Hey, you guys still trying to do something?" And I was like, we already doing something else now." So they might be trying to do something there. I'm gonna check them out and see.
I'm definitely with it. Wednesday you got part two, the
Part two.
bench
Part two. The
and
bench,
and the
situational
situation.
players, seasons grades, the bench and situational players. Yep. And if there's a sweep tomorrow, if Miami sweeps Boston, it's gonna be a whole week before the NBA finals gets popping.
10 days, right?
Yeah. June 1st is when it's supposed to start. Yeah. So
Yeah, that's it's like 8 days, 9 days.
yeah.
Man, and I ain't gonna lie, man. This is the first playoffs that I've actually watched. Um, whether it's last year when the Knicks weren't in the playoffs or 2 years ago once the Knicks got eliminated.
Right.
I didn't watch the rest of the playoffs. This is the first time, in the past 3 years that I've watched after the Knicks have been eliminated. And it's been I know a lot of people don't like it, the 3-0, 4-0 sweep. Well, it's been fun for me.
Yeah, and the Lakers messed up my whole conspiracy theory now. So they ruined it, bro. They ruined it.
Hey, they still it doesn't take away from the message of the theory, right?
That's true.
You know
That's
what I
true.
mean?
Right. That's true. Because man, if they both made it to the championship, that would have been a big, just a big message about
Mm-hmm.
the playing and all that stuff.
And I think Miami's been doing so well. You know what I mean? They was able to let one of the they was able to let the Lakers
Right.
not
Right.
advance because they
Right.
like, yo,
Right.
look at what Miami's doing. All right, they are evidence enough that the
Right.
playing is a success. You know what I mean? Like, think about it. Nobody was talking about, like, all you heard as we played the Heat, Milwaukee played the Heat, and even in this series, all you heard was eighth seed playing tournament. You didn't really hear that with the Lakers.
Mm-hmm.
The Lakers, they were talked about as if they were top seeded all year. Like, nobody really talked about their struggle. I mean, if anything, they talked about post trade deadline and
Right.
just act like, you know what I mean. They didn't even. I mean, they almost didn't have to play in, but they did. But they don't talk about the Lakers like they talked about Miami. Miami, it
Right.
was almost discredited. Oh, we lost to a playing seed. We lost to the eighth seed. Like, they not, like, they're the typical eighth seed. You know what I mean? And that they
Mm-hmm.
are not.
Right. Exactly.
But yeah, man, appreciate you, Sim. Like I
No
said, it's
doubt.
gonna be a fun off season. I think there's gonna be a lot of surprise podcasts, if you will. Oh, breaking news! This just happened. You gotta jump on.
Right.
I
Right.
think it's
Right.
gonna be. I'm gonna say 3 of those. I'm gonna go on record. It's gonna be 3 of them, Sim, where you wasn't expected or going on, and
Mm-hmm.
you gonna be like, oh, get the alert. And you gotta jump out there. You're
Right.
gonna get 3 of
All
them this
right.
offseason. But
Hopefully they're
man,
good. Hopefully it's good stuff.
yeah. I mean, the track record says it should all be good. You know, keep building and keep moving forward. Chat, appreciate you guys for joining in. Sim, man, always appreciate you. I'll see you Wednesday.
Right.
Hopefully, I could catch the back end or the Thursday show. Thursday, you doing the front office,
Yeah.
the
The coaching staff, front office, and all that. Yeah.
yeah. And then that keep them or dump them. I know y'all want that.
Keep them or dump them. I'm still gonna do my 5 takeaways from the season. I haven't done that yet. I'm thinking I'm gonna do it tomorrow.
You
You
might
know,
you might
but
have to make them wait on the keep them or dump
but
them.
that keep them or dump them. Yeah.
Just don't do like last year. Don't make them wait.
Yeah, that was the Knicks' fault, man. It was the Knicks' fault. You know what I'm saying? They started the whole everything with Donovan Mitchell and all of that. And so, the Julius Randle came really, really late.
They was asking for it though.
I'm not doing Julius Randle first. That'll take all the steam out of it. We got to build up to Julius Randle. We got to build up to Randle. I might do Randle and Tibbs in the same show.
Get
That
all
show
the
will be off.
haters in one show.
Yeah, that show will be off the chain. Off the chain. We gotta make sure we get the right people, the right people there, Big Bubba there, get people that don't like Randall, don't like Tibbs, people that do
Delu-
like Randall, do like Tibbs, all of that.
delusional
You know what
on
I'm
the
saying?
Tibbs
Like,
train.
we gotta
Fire
get them
Tibbs
there because
train.
it's gonna be crazy. And they all know neither one of them's going anywhere.
It's you know what? It's a moment for them to vent, man. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? They know it ain't happening, but they gotta get it out their system.
Yeah.
But I appreciate you, Sim. And get out of here. Oh
No
man,
doubt about it,
it
man.
might be one more game for the next 8 days.
I
But
know, man. Tell me about it. That's
still hope
crazy.
they close them out, man.
It's crazy.
Miami, I'm not a fan, but I'm rooting for y'all, man. I'm out of here. Your Blackest Time.